This will be the People News, not attorney, not giving legal advice. Anything I say or do is just hearsay. That's it. Hearsay. Okay? Just my opinion. And never just look straight forward, always look around you, be able to protect yourself by any means necessary. Use the Second Amendment, arm yourself with knowledge. Back to property tax, because it's a very important issue and it happens to everybody, um, from the very bottom to the very top. All right? Let's go.
Do not exalt yourself in the presence of the king, and do not stand in the place of the great. For it is better that he say to you, come up here, than you should be put lower in the presence of the great, whom your eyes have seen. Do not go hastily into court, for what will you do in the end, when your neighbor has avoided you to stand? Make your case with your neighbor, do not expose the secret to another. Lest he who hears it expose your shame, and your reputation be ruined. A word clearly spoken is like apples of gold in the settings of silver, like the earring of gold and the ornament of fine gold. It is a wise rebuker who an obedient ear. Like an home of snow, the town park, urge all witness against his neighbor. He is thirsty in the water to drink. For you will heap coals of fire on his head, and the Lord will reward you. The north wind will frame, and a backbiting tongue, equally confident. It is better to dwell in the corner of the house than in a house shared with an adventurous woman. And the whole water is your weary soul. So it's good news more money. A righteous man exalted before the wicked, like a monkey's bird, good as well.
That the government does. What I want to do is I'll first start. Thank you, Steve. On YouTube, they're saying the sound quality is poor. Okay, so what I want to do is I'll first start off with, this is an email I sent out to people here recently. Anything that Congress does that's unconstitutional, or that the government does, unless you can find a way to challenge it, the courts have to presume it's valid. Okay? When a state forms a constitution which is approved by Congress, it is stopped to deny its validity. So, in other words, they got up there and they said the 14th Amendment had been ratified. The courts cannot dispute. That's political, is what it is. It's political. There's actually, the action of Congress cannot be inquired into, but the judicial is bound to follow the action of the political department. So the thing you have to understand, matter of fact, there's a guy here in Texas. I uploaded a sound file. I turned it into a video that I uploaded to YouTube, where he will actually go into court and he'll say, well, you know, you guys are asking for Federal Reserve notes, and the value of money is political. And because under the Constitution, it's only supposed to be gold or silver coin. But they've gone and made this fake money. And so therefore, I think you ought to dismiss this case. And it'll get dismissed. And he goes into a little bit more argument. He's got like 3 different arguments that he uses, depending on how much he has to push it. But ultimately, it gets dismissed because they're wanting Federal Reserve notes. It's political, okay? And so the reason I'm bringing that up is because
Okay, I'm going to pause right there just for a reminder. All right, men and women have natural rights. We, the people, have political power over our servants. Okay, not subjects, but our servants. They are employed from us. Okay, and as the people, we have political power over them. Okay, and then what they did is convert us into a legalese person, which made us into a subject. Right? That's the reason why officers are subject in custody. Okay, um, well, it's because they got the living man, but under the authority of the person, not under the authority of natural rights.
this act of Congress right here was passed on August 5th of 1861. And the reason this is a political is because Congress was operating under executive authority. What happened, we look at history again, on in 1861, the southern states walked out of Congress, and Congress ceased to have a quorum, and they couldn't conduct business. So Lincoln ordered them back under executive authority on the 15th of April. Notice the date, the 15th of April of 1861. Lincoln ordered Congress to reconvene. And so they're reconvening under executive authority, but that's political. And so you have to understand.
When you actually look at the tax code as well, April 15th, right? That is Lincoln's death. Okay. Um, Now, to be clear, I've seen this before, but my memory from such long ago verify that. Okay, I'm hearsay. I just think it's interesting. Income tax, April 15th, and April 15th is when Lincoln was assassinated. 2 and 2 equals 4.
Everything that's gone on since then has been political, but you have to bring up that it's political. Anyways, so um, so this is the act in 1861 that creates property taxes, and this is August 5th, 1861, an act to provide increased revenue from imports and pay interest on the public debt for other purposes. It starts off talking about duties on certain imports, okay, on sugar, um, soda ash, bicarbonate of soda. It's listing all sorts of stuff. Ad valorem taxes, duties on certain imports. And so the first like 3 or 4 or 5, 6, 7 sections actually. But then section 8, it says that be it further enacted that a direct tax of $20 million is hereby annually laid upon the United States, and the same shall be and is hereby apportioned to the state.
Portioned by the state. Okay. Now, further educational purposes only, not giving legal advice. Okay. They put, when you fight property tax, all right, you go in there and admit to your wrongdoing without your knowledge. Okay. You need to go in there and say you're not a taxpayer and you're a man, you're not the legalized person. And what they do is put you in in-rem jurisdiction. That's the reason why you always got to challenge jurisdiction. Okay? But it's under the guise of, and they will never tell you this, that you're obligated to pay property tax. Well, how can you be obligated to pay property tax? if you have a right to own property, and a right cannot be turned into a privilege. Therefore, if you have a right to own property, it cannot convert back into a tax. And then it force you into obligations. That being said, we've done it to ourselves. No law says that you have to register your property, but you register it. When it goes into the courts, the assessor goes in there, steals your information, and puts it under obligation as a taxpayer and under real estate, which is a commercial entity.
Respectively. So it's by apportionment. So each state has to pay the tax. And then they're supposed to collect it from property owners. And we'll go into it further. So the state of Texas in 1861 was required to pay $350,106 2/3. And so then in section 9 says, for the purpose of assessing the above tax. Anyways, what I'm going to do is I'll go back to this PowerPoint presentation because I go into it but that's the act, okay? And it's all there and it's all taken from this act. What we're going to talk about today is all there and it's all taken from this act. Oh, and this is the act in Texas that, of course, Texas had seceded from the Union, and so there was a civil war going on. And so the legislature of Texas, by the time Texas was readmitted to the Union, they had to pass this act. And this is the act in support of that by the legislature of the state of Texas. And notice it's taken from the Gamma Law Books. Volume 8, Gamma, they're called Gamma Law Books. Anyways, an act defining what money and property is subject to taxation or exempt, and the mode of listing the same. And the legislature of the state of Texas, that all real and personal property in the state and the property of corporations now existing or may hereafter be created, and the property of all banks or banking companies now existing or may hereafter be created. So that's all that was imposed at the time.
Now, education representative, not attorney, in this state, federal territory. Okay? So, my property is not in federal territory, allegedly. Zip codes and all that, could create a situs or a nexus to my property due to the zip code. But that being said, that's what the in this state means. Federal territory, military bases, the federal courthouse, which, by the way, is all federal courthouses.
So was imposed upon. Real property for the real property, section 3 talks about in this state, and we're going to talk about that further. And here it goes in section 4, says the term person, whenever used in this act or any other act regulating the assessment or collection of taxes, shall be construed to include firm, company, or corporation. So
now, I've told people this before, right? You got to look up these definitions of what they're using it for. Like the original Constitution cannot be Black Law, it cannot be Webster, and all that, right? It has to be with the original definition of the Founding Fathers to get the true definition of their intent. Now, since this was 1861 or something like that, I believe, the first volume of Black's Law, you could probably use the definition of the legal person in Black Law or Webster and all that. I forgot what year exactly when they came out.
that's all it is. That's nothing else, because the word include is limiting. So
These little bitty words again, you talked about it in the past. Include, right? Limited.
this is the actual act. We're going to talk about it more in this PowerPoint presentation. that I'm gonna go through right now. So,
So if you guys want more information of this guy here, by his information, okay, again, this is Argentine Living, and I just can't stress it enough about how we've been mistreated on property tax and put us into some form of business. Okay, that's Argentine Living. Okay. Anyway, there we go. These Weed People News. Bye, y'all.